I'll marry you when I am rich. The sandwich cost her everything, but it gave him a future worth $200 million. Zara, 9 years old, saw the starving Korean boy through the rusted fence behind Lincoln Elementary. Her family had nothing. Her mother worked double shifts. Her grandmother counted every dollar twice, but she gave him her lunch anyway. Every day for 6 months. No one asked her to. No one thanked her. 22 years earlier. The rain fell the way it always did in November. Cold, relentless, the kind that soaked through jackets and stayed in your bones. Zara Vance stood on the black top behind Lincoln Elementary, lunch tray balanced on her arm. Chicken nuggets, canned peaches, chocolate milk she'd been saving all week. Her best friend, Kesha, was talking about something. Maybe a TV show, maybe nothing. But Zara wasn't listening. She was staring at the fence at the boy on the other side. He stood in the overgrown weeds behind the chainlink. Rain pouring over him like the world had forgotten he existed. 2 thin clothes. 2 sizes too big. Hollow eyes that looked past things instead of at them. He didn't move. He just watched. Girl, you even listening? Kesha waved a hand in front of Zara's face. Zara blinked. Yeah. Sorry. You keep staring at that fence like something's going to jump out. Zara looked down at her tray. The chicken nuggets were still warm. Her stomach growled. She hadn't eaten breakfast. Wouldn't eat dinner until her mom got home around 9 o'clock, but something pulled at her chest. Something sharp and uncomfortable. I'll be right back, she said. Kesha frowned. Where you going? Zara didn't answer. She walked toward the fence. Tray clutched tight. The other kids didn't notice. Teachers were inside. The boy didn't move, but his eyes tracked her like a trapped animal, deciding whether to run. She stopped 3 feet from the chain link. Up close, she could see the dirt under his nails, the bruise on his jaw, the way his hands shook even though he tried to hide it. You hungry? She asked. The boy stared. Zara reached through the fence, held out half her sandwich. Peanut butter, grape jelly, white bread her grandma bought in bulk. It's okay, she said softly. I already ate. She hadn't. The boy looked at the sandwich like it might vanish if he blinked. Slowly, so slowly, his hand trembled the whole way. He reached out and took it. He didn't say thank you. He didn't say anything. He just ate like someone afraid the world would change its mind. Zara watched until he finished. Then she walked back to Kesha without a word. Next day, she brought the other half. By the 3rd week, she'd learned his name, Jay Hyun. He spoke English like each word cost him something. Told her he ran. That men were looking for him. That he slept in places people didn't check. Under bridges, in alleys, behind dumpsters. Why are they looking? Zara asked one afternoon, passing him a bruised apple through the fence. Jay Hyun's jaw tightened. They brought me here on a boat. Said I'd work in a restaurant and there was no restaurant. Zara's stomach turned cold. She didn't ask again. Instead, she brought more. A juice box she'd saved. Chips from her lunch. A stolen Band-Aid when she saw the cut on his arm. Winter came early that year. Rain turned sharp. Air bit through thin jackets. One morning in December, Zara showed up without her coat. She'd left it hanging on the fence the night before. When Jay Hyun saw it, his eyes went wide. He tried to give it back through the chain link, shaking his head hard. No, you need. I can run inside when. It's cold, Zara said, cutting him off. You can't. June stared at her like she'd just rewritten something fundamental about the universe. He wore that coat until the sleeves barely covered his wrists. The day before he disappeared, Jay Hyun was frantic. He kept looking over his shoulder, fingers white around the fence wire. His breathing came fast, shallow. What's wrong? Zara whispered. They found me. His voice cracked. I have to go tonight. Far. Zara's chest squeezed so tight she thought her ribs might crack. Where? I don't know. Somewhere they can't follow. She wanted to say something smart, something brave. But all she could manage was, don't die. Jay Hyun looked at her, really looked, the way people do when they're trying to memorize a face, and his voice dropped low. Absolute. I will survive, he said. I will get rich, and when I come back I will marry you. Zara laughed, not because it was silly, because it was too enormous to believe. She untied the red ribbon from her hair cheap, bought in a 3-pack from the dollar store and wrapped it around his wrist right over a thin white scar. So you don't forget me, she said. Jay Hyun stared at that ribbon like it was a vow carved into his skin. I won't, he whispered. The next morning, the fence was empty. Zara stood there for 20 minutes in the rain, staring at nothing. He never came back. Before we dive deeper into this story, I need your help. We're on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, and every single subscription gets us closer to that goal. If you enjoy stories about complicated love, about people who choose each other despite the odds, please hit that subscribe button. And I'd love to know, where are you listening from? Drop a comment and tell me your city or country. Building this community means everything. And knowing where you all are from makes it even more special. 22 years passed like a wound that never closed. Seattle learned to fear a man they called the Ghost. Jay Hyun Park didn't raise his voice. Didn't make threats. Didn't need to. He wore tailored black suits that cost more than cars, spoke softly so people had to lean in close, and ran the 7-star syndicate with the precision of a surgeon and the mercy of winter. Shipping lanes, port access, real estate that politicians pretended not to notice. When Jay Hyun entered a room, oxygen left with him. He owned 17 properties across the city, lived in none of them. His penthouse in downtown Seattle had everything. Sub-zero appliances, imported marble, a view that made architects weep, and felt like absolutely nothing. No photographs, no personal items. Just expensive emptiness and the hum of climate control. Every night the same routine. Shower, black silk robe, whiskey he didn't taste. Standing at the window, watching the city lights blur in the rain, feeling the hollow space in his chest where hunger used to live. He'd killed that hunger with money, replaced it with something worse. His phone buzzed. Min June, his second-in-command, efficient and cold. Thompson. Shipping deal finalized. $4.2 million transferred. Clean. Jay Hyun typed back. Good. $4 million. Nothing. He set the phone down, rolled up his left sleeve. The watch came off first. PC Philippe, worth more than most houses. Beneath it, wrapped around the same wrist, faded and fraying, the red ribbon. He touched it the way other men touched rosaries. 22 years. The fabric was deteriorating despite every effort to preserve it. He'd taken it to specialists, archivists, museum conservators. But time was winning, just like it always did. He closed his eyes and saw her. 9 years old, overalls, hair, and 2 puffs. Handing him half a sandwich through a rusted fence like it wasn't the only food she'd eat that day. Where are you? The search started 5 years ago. Methodical, obsessive, invisible. Jay Hyun bought property near Lincoln Elementary first, then blocks around it, then neighborhoods radiating outward like a slow-moving infection. He placed operatives in community centers, funded youth programs that existed only on paper, hired private investigators who asked questions without asking why. No one connected the dots. No one suspected the ghost of Seattle was searching for a little black girl who'd shown him kindness when the world wanted him dead. His office wall was covered in maps. Red pins marked purchases. Blue pins marked searches. Yellow pins marked dead ends. There were hundreds of yellow pins. Mjun knocked once, entered without waiting. He knew better than to wait. We found 3 more Zara in South Seattle, he said, handing over a tablet. Ages 28 to 32. None matched the profile. Jay Hyun scrolled through photos. Wrong faces, wrong eyes, wrong. Keep looking, he said. It's been 5 years, Hung. Minjun's voice carried the careful weight of someone who knew exactly how dangerous this conversation was. Maybe she left the city. Maybe she's here. Jay Hyun's tone didn't rise. It didn't need to. I know she's here. Nanjun nodded once and left. The rain picked up outside. Always raining in Seattle, like the city remembered that day behind the fence and couldn't stop crying about it. Jay Hyun poured another whiskey, didn't drink it. His empire was built on 2 principles. Never be hungry again and never forget the girl. Everything else, the violence, the money, the fear was just scaffolding around those two truths. The break came on a Tuesday. Minjun walked in without knocking, which meant something significant had happened. Good or catastrophic. With Jay Hyun's world, those were often the same thing. We found her. Jay Hyun's hand stopped mid-reach for his coffee. The room went silent except for rain against glass. Where? Rainier Valley. She runs a community youth center. Fights, displacement, gentrification. She's been on our radar for 6 months. We just didn't connect her to the searches. Minjun pulled up a photo on the tablet. Jay Hyun's world tilted. They're older, tired. Beautiful in the way people who've survived too much are beautiful. Standing in front of a run-down brick building, arms crossed, jaw set, eyes blazing with the same quiet defiance she'd had at 9 years old. Zara Vance, she's leading resistance against the Rainier Valley redevelopment project, Minjun continued. Community meetings, petitions, she's good at it loud. The residents trust her. Jay Hyun stared at the photo. His chest felt strange. Tight and open at the same time, like something sealed for decades had finally cracked. What redevelopment project? He asked quietly. Minjun hesitated. Ours. Silence. The shell company we set up last year, Minjun clarified. The one buying properties for the new commercial district. She's fighting us. She doesn't know it's us, but she's fighting us. Jay Hyun almost laughed. Of course fate would do this. Bring her back by putting her directly in his path as an enemy. When's the next community meeting? He asked. Tonight, 7:00 p.m. St. Mark's Church basement. June smoothed his suit. The ribbon stayed hidden beneath his watch, warm against his skin. Clear my schedule, he said. Jun frowned. You're going yourself? Yes, Hung. If you walk in there, if she sees you, she won't recognize me. Jay Hyun interrupted. I was 12, starving, half dead. I'm not that boy anymore. Jun looked unconvinced, but nodded. Jay Hyun walked to the window, the city stretched below, our rain turning everything gray and soft. Somewhere out there, Zara was preparing to fight him without knowing his name. 22 years, 5 years searching. Tonight, the ghost would finally show his face. Before you find out what happens when they meet again, can I ask you something? If this story is hitting you the way it's hitting me, please take 2 seconds to like this video. It helps more people find these stories. And I'm curious. Have you ever made a promise you thought you'd never be able to keep? Drop it in the comments. We read every single one.